Hi there everybody, my name is Ben Stapley, and my desire is to help you create and capture moving and memorable moments. Today I want to give you 8 suggestions on how you can present live announcements in a church setting. It might not work in the church or nonprofit world, but don't worry. If you communicate any type of information in any setting, like a wedding toast, school presentation, or even convincing your child to go to bed, then these principles will apply to you. And hopefully they will help you step up your presenting game. 1. Practice at home and at the venue. You want to familiarize yourself with the announcements so that you can present them from memory instead of reading off a script. Practice at home to master the content. Then you won't be thrown off by a distraction in the service. Distractions like a dead mic, screaming baby, or a comatose crowd won't throw you off because you've mastered the content already. Then practice at the venue so you can finalize any last-minute logistics. Logistics like EQing your mic, adjusting to the stage lights, and finding your mark on stage. Practicing at the venue allows you to iron out any last-minute details before the service instead of during the service. 2. Step up the energy level. Never match the crowd's energy level. Wherever their energy is, you want to step it up. Stepping up the energy level helps the audience lean in and pay attention to the communication. Remember that if you feel bored by what you're saying, then I guarantee that your audience feels bored by what they're hearing. Also remember to only raise the energy level a notch or 2. If you increase the energy level too much, you may come off as manic, and you don't want that. 3. Be the most charismatic version of yourself. Think about when you had the whole dinner party leaning in for a story, or when coworkers lingered at the water cooler to hear the end of an anecdote, or when your family, jaded teenagers included, laughed at your jokes. This is the most charismatic version of yourself, and this is the version you want on stage when communicating announcements. I say the most charismatic version of yourself because you don't want to be phony. You don't want to attempt to be someone else. People easily sniff out insincerity and will be turned off right away. So be yourself, the most charismatic version of yourself. 4. Connection over content. Ideally, presenters are going to connect with the crowd and convey content. But if you end up being weaker in one area, then it should always be content. I would rather have a relatable presenter who flubbed a date than one that nailed details while coming off as distant. You have to remember that the content will always be available through other venues like the bulletin, website, and social media. But there's only one chance to connect with people about the content, so make it count. Choose connection over content. 5. Introduce yourself. If you've been around churches for a while, you've probably heard the phrase preaching to a parade. What this means is there will always be, or always should be, new people in your audience. Because of the influx of visitors to your church, you constantly need to introduce yourself. So share your name and your role within the church. This helps people connect to you before they learn from you. If you state your title as a staff member or volunteer, make sure it's tied to purpose. So instead of just saying, I'm an elder, say, I'm an elder and I help our church stay on mission. 5. No dead air time. Purposeful silence in a service, like a time of reflection, sends a contrasting and correcting message to our go-go-go culture. But seconds of purposeless silence can feel like minutes of wasted time. Purposeless silence also conveys a lack of preparation. The silence builds up anxiety in your audience as they wonder what's happening next. Tackle this problem by avoiding dead air time before the announcements. Do this by getting into position before you come on stage. Place yourself in the front row of the auditorium or wing of the stage so that you are ready to take center stage quickly. Also, start your entrance as the element before you is concluding, not after it has concluded. This will help avoid dead air time and keep the service moving along. 6. Think through your transitions. Transitioning into your announcement sets you up for success. Transitioning out sets up someone else for success. Consider the tone of what is coming before you and after you, and match that tone to create a smooth transition. Also, try to avoid redundancy. If the worship leader just told a joke or referenced the weather, then don't do the same. On the flip side, don't conclude with a prayer if the pastor plans on opening their message with one. The best way to think through transitions is to talk them through. Ask the people before and after you how they are going to end and begin. Thinking through the transitions keeps the service seamless which keeps the audience engaged. 7. Don't omit the mission. The mission of your church should be mentioned at some point during your announcements. It is usually the most natural to do it at the beginning or end of the announcement package. When you mention the mission, you connect the dots between what the church is doing, announcements, and why they're doing it, mission. This connection gives greater value to what is being said by weaving in the big picture. Remember, people won't take an action step unless they understand the purpose behind the step. 8. Last-minute reminder. Whatever you might struggle with as a presenter, remind yourself about it before you step onto stage. You might instinctively look at only one section of the auditorium, then remind yourself to scan the crowd. Or you might be a fast talker, then remind yourself to slow down and ease out the words. You might be naturally lacking energy, then remind yourself to convey the importance of the announcements by amping up your tone and body language. The last-minute reminder I give myself is to smile and enjoy the experience. I can easily default to conveying content instead of connecting with a crowd. This last-minute reminder helps me do both. So those are my 8 suggestions on how to present live announcements in a church setting. Hopefully these principles will help you step up your presentation game. Send an email to benstapley@gmail.com and let me know what suggestions I missed. I would love to hear from you and learn from you. I would also love to connect on social media, so look me up. Announcements can be the lamest time during a service, but they don't have to be. If you have great content and a great communicator, then the announcements can be an incredibly engaging element.